Hunter Johnson just took the #1 spot in the PPA Tour rankings, and he's barely been playing the PPA Tour for a year. In fact, he played his first ever event as a signed UPA player back in April of 2024, and he came in as the #35 seed. And his success is due in large part to two things. He's redefined the singles return meta, and he's hitting forehands unlike any other player on the tour. In this video, Hunter and I are going to take you through Hunter's rise to #1, how he's changed the singles game, how he's revolutionized ground strokes, what you can implement into your game, and finally, what Hunter said to me on the bench a couple of weeks ago. So, just over a year ago, Hunter Johnson wasn't even playing on the PPA Tour. He was on the APP Tour and at the top of the rankings in all three divisions. He had earned 10 gold medals in his time at the APP Tour. On March 24th, 2024, Hunter defeated Grayson Golden in the finals of the APP Miami event. Later that same day, Hunter and the PPA announced that he's now going to be participating on the PPA Tour exclusively and that his time at the APP had come to an end. Why did you switch over from the APP, and what were your expectations?
PPA is where the competition was at, and I think as a competitor, you always want to play against the best and beat the best.
After signing the deal, things didn't go well for Hunter. That's to say the least. Hunter was trying to play the same style of pickleball that worked so well for him at the APP Tour. He was playing standard singles and getting beaten early. It wasn't until he made one crucial change in Atlanta that fall until he started to win. And we're going to go through exactly what that is and how you can implement that into your singles game a little bit later on in the video. He started off his PPA run in North Carolina as the 35 seed, and as the 35 seed, he beat Wyatt Stone in the round of 64, but then lost in the second round to Federico Stockstrud. Tough draw. In Houston, he beat Luke Wasson, then lost in the #3 seed Connor Garnett. Tough draw. In Red Rock, he beat Spencer Smith, then lost to Wang Yun. Tough draw. And this would be a theme for Hunter. Bad seeds were leading to matchups against top players in early rounds, and he just wasn't breaking through against them. It wasn't until his 5th PPA tournament that Hunter even made it past the round of 32 with a quarterfinal run at the Texas Open. Even then, he ran into Chris Hayworth, who was the #22 seed, but he was in the middle of his undefeated APP stretch. After this, it was more rough exits in the round of 32 in Sacramento, Orange County, and Kansas City.
And so coming over, it took a little bit of time. I think I lost 8 or 9 second rounds in a row to top 5 seeds. And so it was kind of that a little bit of a confidence downer coming from APP winning every single week to losing every single week.
Hunter won a bronze medal at the Utah Open in August, his first medal in 10 tournaments. The very next weekend, it was back to a round of 32 loss to Federico in Las Vegas, but it was at least a 3-set match. Then came the breakthrough. Hunter beat Pesa Teoni, Gabe Joseph, Tyson McGuffin, Naveen Beasley, J-Dub Johnson, and Connor Garnett to take gold at the PPA Atlanta Slam as the #20 seed. And all of a sudden, you've got a gold at the PPA Atlanta Slam, which is a huge one to win. Was there anything that, clicked for you before, during that tournament?
I always, attribute that tournament to the changing point of my career, I think, just because mentally it was a little different that tournament. I was in this mode of kind of not caring as much. I kind of lean in on my faith a lot. So just kind of knowing that pickleball is not everything, winning, losing isn't everything. Your identity's not in that. And so I kind of, for some reason, just that week, I just kind of gave all that up and kind of surrendered that and stopped trying to control it myself.
Guys, this advice from the world #1 singles player is so important. Control what you can control, and everything else is out of your hands. The only thing we can control on the pickleball court are our preparation, effort, and attitude. It was all smooth sailing from there. In Virginia Beach, he beat a bunch of good players, Zane Ford, Dylan Frazier, Connor Garnett, and got his first win over Federico at a time where Fed was undoubtedly the best singles player on the planet. He lost to Ben Johns in the final, but the momentum was clear. Since signing, Hunter has now won 12 medals, including 6 gold, and just took over the world #1 spot. But now that we know how Hunter got there, how did Hunter get there? Well, Hunter has redefined the meta of singles in a couple of ways. Historically, men's singles was about who could get to the net first, and in my first 10 years of playing pickleball, returners would approach the net after their returns every single time. This is actually quite similar to tennis back in the day, where players would serve and volley and chip and charge, and pretty much every point was ended with at least one player at the net. But like tennis, equipment changed and so did the meta. In 2024, two key changes were made. First, paddles became more springy, creating a trampoline effect, allowing for more power and, more importantly, more spin. The PPA Tour also switched from the Onyx Dura to the Vulcan, which sped up the game and allowed for more spin. So all of a sudden, our paddles are generating more power and spin, and the ball is faster and spinnier. The singles meta had to change. You've sort of changed the game in a couple of different ways. You're one of the first guys to more consistently stay back on your return. When did you decide to do this, and why, basically?
It kind of switched in actually in Atlanta when Yates got injured against Connor Garnett. He hurt his hip, and unfortunately he was out for almost 10 months. Now he's fully back. Luckily, it's amazing to see. But we kind of figured out a funny strategy there. We're like, wow, like how many times are people hitting big serves and then, you're trying to come to the net, charge the net, and you miss returns. I've seen players miss 4 returns a game on average, I would say. I realized that like I was hitting better returns by not forcing myself to come in and rush the ball or worry about a bad bounce or anything like that.
But Hunter doesn't stay back the entire time. He waits for the opportunity to take the ball on the rise with a short volley.
I think if someone hits a deep serve and you can just stay back, stay low, and rip the ball on the return, then maybe you can get an easier fourth ball to come in on.
So Hunter is focusing on the quality of the return rather than rushing in, something that I actually cover in this video about the new return meta in Pro Pickleball. I'll put the link in the description and make sure to take a look at this at the end of the video. But Hunter hasn't changed the game with just his returning strategy. He's created the best forehand on the Pro Tour. And you also have a very innovative forehand as well. You create more RPMs on your forehand and backhand now as well than anybody else. Is there any tip that you have, or do you not want to give away the proprietary Johnson upping forehand?
No, I mean it's good luck recreating it because I had 20 years of tennis of what Yates would tell me is bad technique in tennis. I use like a almost continental grip, and I like to like really come below the ball, almost like at a 7 o'clock if I'm making contact, and coming like up and around the ball. And sometimes if I'm on the run, I'll cup the ball and I'll come up the back, and like my paddle will come behind my head. Sometimes I'll finish across my body. It kind of just depends. But ultimately, I'm always trying to get my paddle face under the ball and sweeping up.
Does this sound familiar at all? Well, it's actually what pro pickleball players are using to hit topspin dinks as well as attacks. It's tough enough to get the hang of it at the kitchen line, but even more difficult to master from the baseline. So if you want to start hitting forehands like Hunter Johnson, I would recommend getting the hang of it from the kitchen line on your dinks and speed ups first before you start to implement it on your ground strokes. Last thing I got for you. Hunter, do you want to tell the people what you said to me? For context, this was at the MLP finals a couple of weeks ago in New York City. I was talking to crap to Hunter the entire time.
So I was getting a little fired up. We're chirping back and forth to each other. I let the ball come around the post. I smacked it. We won the point, and I just kind of leaned into Zane, and uh, it's funny that you keep talking because your team benched you. And then you see Annalie's face. She's like, so it's so funny because seeing your reaction was awesome because you're encouraging it.
100%, dude. And I deserved so much worse than that. Like, respectfully. Like, well, guys, if you learned anything from this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and tossing Hunter Johnson and I a follow. Hunter is going to be coming out with some of his own videos soon, and I'm sure he's going to break down his signature forehand in much more depth. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the new return meta, make sure to check out this video.